Up with KREM begins now.
Hi everyone, good morning. It's 6 o'clock here on your Monday. Thanks so much for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham. We also want to welcome you in if you're streaming us on KREM 2+. Let's get on over to Regan Gallo, who's in for meteorologist Thomas Patrick this morning. Regan, it sounds like we're dealing with some patchy fog as we head out the door on this Monday.
Oh yeah, lots of patchy fog, and as you can see, 100% relative humidity. So with that fog, it's very dewy. The good news is that we're not going to be getting any rain really throughout the entire week. But that fog is going to stay consistent through the morning in the Spokane, Palouse, down to Lewiston and through the Columbia Basin, as well as up in Bonners Ferry. And then if you're in the Walla Walla region too, there is a dense fog advisory as well. So stay safe on the roads and drive slow.
At 6:01, here's a live look outside at the traffic impact this morning. This is I-90 and the US 2 split there. It looks like traffic westbound starting to pick up just a little bit, but nothing major as you head out the door. I will say most of that patchy fog really hitting in that western part of Spokane County. So if you are headed that direction, keep that in mind. On Up with KREM, we do bring you weather and traffic together every 30 minutes. An update this morning, an Airway Heights woman is being charged with possession of explosives. Angela Andreas Miller made her first appearance in court last week. She is accused of having explosives in her home and car. It forced the evacuation of her entire Airway Heights apartment building on Thursday as police investigated the area. Miller has a $500,000 bond. This morning, the NAACP Spokane branch is asking for the community's help after a photo of someone what appears to be a Ku Klux Klan attire has been circulating Spokane Facebook groups. The branch president, Lisa Gardner, says the person is dressed in what is assumed a KKK costume and was captured by a residential security camera in Colbert. Gardner says they do not know any context of the picture, which is why they are asking the community if anyone has information. In the photo, it looks like there are two more individuals in the back, also dressed in white.
This is not something to joke with. This is not something to make light of. It's not something that we take lightly, and we want to make sure that our community is safe and that we have a safe and peaceful MLK Day march.
The NAACP asks anyone with information to contact local authorities. Gardner says there are plans to contact the Spokane Police Department to ensure extra security precautions are in place for the annual MLK Unity Rally and March on January 20th. This morning, Spokane police are still investigating a car crash that killed an off-duty paramedic this weekend. The 33-year-old paramedic was driving on Highway 20 just west of Notice. Idaho State Police say a 22-year-old was driving west in a Toyota Tundra when he tried to pass a semi-truck. He collided head-on with the paramedic who was driving east. The paramedic died at the scene. The driver of the Tundra was flown to a hospital. ISP says both men were wearing seatbelts. Today is the last day for Americans to pay their respects to former President Jimmy Carter in Atlanta, Georgia, where he has been lying in repose since Saturday. Tomorrow, services move to Washington, D.C., where Carter will lie in state at the U.S. Capitol until his state funeral this Thursday on January 9th. Over the weekend, crowds of mourners went past the flag-draped casket of the former president. Others also left tributes to his legacy at the growing memorial outside of the Carter Center.
Thanks to President Jimmy Carter. He was just the most amazing human being.
Carter's body will be transported to the U.S. Capitol, where he'll lie in state until Thursday's state funeral. The day of the funeral has been declared a national day of mourning as the country says its final farewell to the 39th president. After Thursday, Carter's body will return to his hometown of Plains, Georgia, for a private service and burial. Happening today, Congress is tasked with certifying the electoral votes for the 2024 presidential election. Today marks 4 years since a violent mob attacked the Capitol, prompting heightened security. CBS News correspondent Naomi Reckham explains what will happen in Washington today and the measures in place to prevent violence.
On the eve of January 6th, President Joe Biden spoke to new Democratic members of Congress in Washington.
It's a day that most of our history we took for granted the 6th. but I hope we never take it for granted again.
This day in 2021 would become monumental to American history when a violent mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol as President-elect Donald Trump tried to get then Vice President Mike Pence to stop the election certification. Later today, senators and members of the House will meet in a joint session to tally the electoral votes from all 50 states and the District of Columbia. In what will be a glaring image on Capitol Hill in the Senate chambers, Vice President Kamala Harris will preside over the certification just months after losing the election to Donald Trump. This as over the weekend at Mar-a-Lago, the president-elect spoke at a screening of a new documentary questioning the legitimacy of the 2020 election while hosting Italy's prime minister.
To be still trying to fight a fight that he knows he lost is really sad.
Democrats have said there will be no attempt made to challenge the results. Still, given the history of January 6th, security will be tight and thousands of additional police officers will be on hand. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
This morning, we are continuing to bring you the latest following the New Year's Day attack on Bourbon Street. Today, President Biden will visit New Orleans to meet with the victims' families and officials. We now know the suspect visited New Orleans at least twice ahead of the attack. FBI officials say in 24 of October, Shamsuddin Jabbar used Meta smart glasses with embedded cameras to record these videos of Bourbon Street. New video also suggests the attack could have been even more deadly. The FBI says security cameras showed the attacker placing multiple improvised explosive devices around Bourbon Street early New Year's Day. That did not detonate because of a mistake he made in the assembly.
He didn't use the correct device to set it off, and that is just indicative of his inexperience and lack of understanding.
New Orleans mayor says she has asked the White House for more security resources for the upcoming Super Bowl and Mardi Gras. Louisiana's governor, meanwhile, issued an executive order declaring a period of mourning for the victims of the Bourbon Street attack starting today and going through January 23rd. Today is dedicated to KREM Badawi. The 18-year-old was a freshman at the University of Alabama. More than 2 million retired teachers, firefighters, and other public sector retirees are set to get a bump in their Social Security benefits. President Joe Biden signed the Social Security Fairness Act into law, which eliminates 2 federal policies that had barred employees with a public pension from collecting their full benefits under the federal retirement program. It also had reduced benefits for those workers, surviving spouses, and family members. The president says millions will get a lump sum payment to make up for missed benefits. In 2024, while the average monthly increase in payments is around $360.